Hi, Carolyn for Carolyn Talks for So Here's What Happened podcast. So my question is for both Greta and Karen. So you both just talked about uplifting each other and helping support each other throughout the filming. But I think what you were saying actually kind of plays into my question because there's what was happening in real life is kind of reflected on the show where both characters are in very extremely powerful positions in this news corporation. For Stella, she's a president of this network, and for Mia, she's a producer, and you're both having to stay in control at all times while you want to break down, while you have to take these small moments for yourself and deep and either like for Mia, she has a scene where she cries into her office and she expresses everything that's going on with Mitchell. And like for these two women, like it's hard to watch women in positions, especially women of color, we have to be strong all the time, but knowing that you want to let go and then to have that play into what's going on in real life, like how did both of you cope with the, I guess you could say, the mirroring of what was happening in real life happening on set and happening in the scripts? Like how are you able to like just push through, just like being able to like say I have these two situations like coinciding at the same time?
A lot of wine after work.
I think what I benefited from, I will say, what I benefited from was, I had an entire season of creating the emotional landscape for Mia Jordan, what she had been dealing with emotionally with having left the relationship with Mitch Kessler. They gave me a lot of room, the writers and the producers gave me a lot of room to create whatever landscape Mia fell into after that workplace relationship ended. So when I started season 1 and she had been promoted to executive producer, I had all of that behind me and could focus on what it looks like for a woman of color to be empowered, but also to be empowered at a moment of enormous transition for this news program and trying to balance all of the personalities. When I came up to episode 8 and we had that moment that you were talking about when she has that monologue, it was a moment that Carrie Aaron, who's a showrunner, and I talked about exposing finally Mia's extraordinary fragility, what she's got underneath all of the surface of having to keep it together. So it was really just an exercise in letting it kind of ooze out as an actor and not letting it all fall out as I did in season 1 in episode 7, where she just lets everybody have it. This was really about a quiet moment of grief.
Yeah.
She was just grief stricken over what had happened. And quite honestly, that was very easy to tap into. I mean, in my own personal life, I've experienced a lot of grief. In the moment on set, we were all trying to figure out emotionally, as we talked about as a cast and as actors, we were all trying to figure out where we were in this big sea change of socio-political drama that was playing out in front of our eyes every night when we went home.
Mhm.
We were isolated because of the pandemic, so it was actually, it wasn't hard to tap into those emotions. They were right on the surface. And as an actor, you try to keep them there all the time. So, so I think to answer your question, it was built into the character over time. It was a great opportunity to let it kind of spill out so that the audience would see what Mia was going through. Had a great director in Vic Mahoney. It was difficult, but it was all of that was working to the benefit of the character.
I'm so glad that, and first of all, that scene was so exquisitely performed, Karen. I mean, I haven't been able to tell you enough just how beautiful that performance was. But I think that I'm so glad I think we often have, this is, the tax that we have as non-white creatives. It's the added burden that we have that, we have to wear our race, our otherness as a coat in a way other colleagues simply just don't have to. And this question that we're constantly asking ourselves and working through is how it's that balance. How do we bring humanity into the roles that we play? So it's not just I'm a figurehead for Asian Americans, or Karen is, a model for a Black woman in power, because it's just not enough. And I think that's something that we could continue to emphatically express to the producers and to the writers. And we're lucky that they could hear us and we're receptive to that, that it's not enough simply to put up these emblems of prototypes. You have to have scenes like the scene Karen had in episode 8, where you are showing depth and humanity that isn't just, I'm a strong Black woman, right? But it is a balance, right? It's how do we, within our roles as actors. That's the other thing, Karen and I, we joke all the time, we're just actors.
Yeah.
And sometimes, our job, it's like a pirate ship. And there's a clear system, a ranking order of power. And that's also a part of this for us. How do you advocate? How do you have input within the confines of the structure too?
Great. Thank you so much. And you both did a fantastic job with this season.